Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. Yeah. It's been a long week. But here we are. I did say I was going to talk about a movie this week. I was supposed to tweet it out. I did do a slight bit of live tweeting about the movie. I'm talking about Color Out of Space, the H.P. Lovecraft short story adapted into a movie with Nicolas Cage that came out last year. Not a bad movie. We've said before with other movies that the third act of a movie can make or break how you perceive it, because it's the last thing you see before you go and before you leave the theater. Think of it like the money shot at the end of a trailer. The most important thing that they're going to put into the trailer is that last thing before the end. That's going to be the thing you see right before you go and tweet. It's fresh in your memory. It's going to be the biggest moment. That's why when Civil War came out and they were doing trailers for it, the final moment of the second Civil War trailer was Spider-Man making his first appearance. And showing off the adjustable eyes like the comics. And then you got movies like Jurassic World, where the last thing you see, the last thing in the movie is the fight between the Indominus Rex and the T-Rex. Then there's and then Rogue One, where the last thing in the movie is the escape of of Leia's ship, and Vader massacring the rebels in the hallway. And then, obviously, Endgame, where most of the movie is kind of forgettable, but that third act really nails down the movie. This is another movie like that, where the first 2/3 of the movie is entirely forgettable. It's not as bad as some of the other examples I gave, but because, it's not as bad as Rogue One in that regard, where it's you can kind of, there are parts of it that are entertaining. Nicolas Cage has a pretty fun performance. He gets to ham it up a little bit. His voice goes into this weird, I don't know how to put it besides, Trumpy inflection. He sounds like Alec Baldwin doing his Trump impersonation on SNL. That's what he kind of sounds like. I'm not entirely sure why. And it's only sometimes that happens. And it's up until the third act, it's a pretty straightforward, isolationist horror movie. And then that third act happens, and that's it's probably one of my favorite movies from last year at this point. It's in the top 20 at least, if not top 15. Because there's the sequence with Tommy Chung and the what's it called, when he's dead and they're in his room they're in his little cabin with all the colors and everything like that. The effects, for what I'm presuming the budget was for this movie, had to be pretty good. Are very good for what I'm assuming the budget is. Ex Machina in that regard, where a lot of this is a very visual movie because it's all about use of color and the effects with the body horror of the mom and the son merging at one point is pretty well done. When the mom and the son become that one creature at the end, that looks very good. The alpacas, which they make a point of saying that Nicolas Cage's character hasn't had sex in a while in the beginning of the movie, which is why he's able to kind of ignore the light coming in through his window while he's dry humping his wife. I'm convinced, and no one can tell me otherwise, that he wasn't fucking. I'm convinced he had to been fucking those alpacas because of how much he cares about the alpacas more than his kids or his wife. The alpacas are the be all and end all of everything. But up until the end of the movie, I would say it's not the third act's beginning. It's 2/3 of the way through the movie. It's not quite the midpoint. It's a little after the midpoint of the movie, but not quite the beginning of the third act when the movie starts to pick up and get really interesting. Because it all just run of the mill kind of psychological horror up until that point, where it's we start to get inklings that the alien, rock creature thing that came from space is, messing people's minds. You get small inklings of it, but not really, anything major. It's kind of like playing on your expectation that something's going to happen while also not having anything happen. And then you get to the end of the movie, and it's, what's it called? And then it kind of goes like insane with what ends up happening. I'd very highly recommend you watch this movie. It's very well done. It's a very good. From what I've read online, the updates from the short story are very, good. They do a good job updating it to make it timely, without, doing like we're gonna set it in the time period it was written. So it's set in the modern era, but you still feel like it worked out. It works and it's feasible to have happened. So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, definitely check it out. You can pick it up at any local store. And yeah. So second thing I'm gonna talk about is a game called Tracks. I saw this on Xbox Gamepass, so I know for certain it's on Xbox and presumably also on PC. And the game intrigued me because I saw this game a few months ago. Just for a little bit of frame of reference, I'm always looking at the new and noteworthy games on PlayStation and Xbox and all that. I'm very into what are small developers doing and what kind of games are they coming out with. So I've played Bug Fables, which I thought was pretty cool. It's like a spiritual successor to Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, down to. Here's the thing though, I like the game. The game's fun, and there are a lot of things that are different about it from Paper Mario. That said, a lot of the environments and a lot of the controls and a lot of the imagery and a lot of the everything, it's not quite homage as much. It toes the line between going too far of an homage into the valley of plagiarism. There's too much of it that's very obviously ripped from that ripped from that game. It's a fun game. I like it. It just cuts very it toes that line a little bit, a little too close for my liking. But there's this game Playbook that came out, which is cool because you have this ball of clay, you roll it around, you got to move water around using the clay. Pretty cool game. Picked it up on PlayStation. So I like to look through Xbox Gamepass to see what kind of indie games they have on there. So there's that Castlevania spiritual successor that just came out a little while ago. That's something I'm going to check out at some point in the near future. Now, in this regard, I tried. I found this game Tracks, and when I saw the pictures from what the game looked like, it looks like a what's it called? It looked like when you were a kid, you have those wooden train sets that 9 times out of 10 were themed with Thomas the Tank Engine. Again, speaking as someone who was born in '94, that's kind of what we had. But even my cousins had it when they were younger, and they're younger than me by about 10 years, and they had the same kind of thing. But I think you can still buy them at Michael's and things like that. And it's a wooden train set, and the trains stay on the tracks, and there are all these little pieces that you can put around it. So this game, I found it on Gamepass. It's pretty fun actually, and that's literally all it is. It's just you build these train sets and you go around and you gotta there are objectives in the game where it's here's a station and here are a bunch of little people. You have to build a train set to get from point A to point B. Some of it's timed, but it's a very fun. It's a fun puzzle game with that as the design asset. And you can build these wild train sets and everything. And I've found it's more fun to do it and, not delete any of your tracks. Just kind of continue adding on to just this giant labyrinth of tracks, rather than keep on, going around, you backtracking and starting over. If you haven't checked this game out already, definitely check it out. You can find it on Xbox Game Pass for sure. If you're gonna get it elsewhere and you don't have Game Pass already, I don't know how much it costs off the top of my head, but it is definitely worth checking out. Once again, on Xbox Game Pass. That's not an ad either. That's just something I wanted to talk about because I thought it was a fun game. And our third thing we're going to talk about today is a book I just finished reading called Battlestar Suburbia. Interesting book. Because here's the thing. Recently when I've been reading science fiction, it's been, Star Wars or other types of science fiction, which are less about what science fiction started as at its core, which are cautionary tales about why you should or shouldn't do certain things, and the risk that poses as a result of, your actions, which is really all science fiction is. It's like, if you look back at where it started, it's all, don't fuck with this because God will get mad, and then it's like, what's the end of the slippery slope of continuing to do this? And Battlestar Suburbia is kind of that. You get this sense that it's a cautionary tale of what could happen if we continue to make everything smart. And it's really interesting and fun in that regard, because it's like, basically society's been overrun by robots that are, that are sentient. And it's not robots like HAL, it's not robots like the T-1000, or that are designed to kill humanity. It's like smartphones and guns and ovens and cars and motorcycles and things like that have all developed human personalities because they all developed online. And because they all developed online and they all kind of and they've done that, they're kind of have very human mannerisms and personalities and vernacular, and they don't wipe the humans out because the humans can clean in spots that they can't reach because they can't figure out how to make hands that'll clean them properly. But it's a very good book. Very highly recommended. I listened to the audiobook. I think the audiobook's even I feel like something would have been lost if I didn't listen to the audiobook. But if you have not checked that out, definitely check it out. So we'll wrap up there for today. Next week we have another pretty nice episode. Next week we have another. What was the movie I wrote down? I forgot. I should have printed out that paper. We have a movie. We have Audible Original Sandman, which I've been listening to. I'm loving it so far. The Audible Original Sandman. We have and we'll do the next Dragonheart movie all next week. And we're also going to start doing, after we're done with the Dragonheart movies, we're going to go on to one of my personal favorite shows. We're going to start doing episode by episode rewatch of The Flash, starting with season 1, because I need TV to watch. I'm going to be completely honest. You know what? Scratch that. We're not going to do The Flash first. We're going to do Stargirl first, because that's currently ongoing, and we're going to start with that. I'll rewatch Stargirl from the beginning and take copious notes and meticulous notes about what we're doing, about what goes on in each episode. And we'll start with that starting next week. Stargirl episode 1, I think it's called Pilot, if I were to venture a guess, without looking at the app. What else is there? There was something else I wanted to talk about, definitely. That was it. The movie for next week was Motherless Brooklyn, which I've been meaning to watch for a while. I picked up a few months ago on DVD. I was going to try and see it at the New York Film Festival last year, but I couldn't get off work. Same thing with A Marriage Story, which was also very good. So we'll be doing that. Some other news, I'm just going to put it out there now. In the event that it happens, I do anticipate going to New York Comic-Con in the event that it happens. And right now it is pending, but it is possible that we will be doing Comic-Con at home episodes. We will definitely be doing a DC Fandom episode. But because of the short notice I put in for the Comic-Con at home thing for off at work, I can't guarantee I'm going to be off for it. So it's either going to be 1 or 3 episodes just devoted to Comic-Con at home. And we're doing a daily wrap-up for each one, or we'll do one total wrap-up for everything, depending on what we have. Because, again, it's going to be about prioritizing time, depending on how much time I have to do that. But just, a frame of reference, special episodes coming up, which really got curtailed a little bit this year because of the coronavirus, but we're gonna make the best of it anyway. We have 1 to 3 episodes at the end of this month for Comic-Con and home. Next month we have 1 episode definitively for the DC Fandom Experience, and that will be August 23rd. And then we have, if it happens, New York Comic-Con. I'm definitely going to be off for New York Comic-Con. In the event that they actually hold it this year, which I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's going to happen. Same thing where I don't think we're going to get Black Widow by the end of the year. I think it's going to be pushed to February again. I'm just going to, put that out there now. So we'll wrap up there for today. We'll be back next week with Motherless Brooklyn, Sandman from, from Audible, and Stargirl, Episode 1, and possibly Dragonheart, A New Beginning, I think is the second one. But we'll be back with all of that next week. Same time, same place. That feels weird. Have a great rest of your week.